Hariom Tat Sat. So the abortion issue has again escalated into the forefront of public discourse, and I don't really want to waste time rehashing the same old arguments for this side or that side of the issue against the other. I personally stand on the side of pro-life, and there are reasons why I do so. But I wanted to bring up a point that just because I hold such views, it must mean that I'm less educated or not educated in a particular subject matter. So, short story time. A friend of mine, we'll say friend A, made a post on their social media in favor of pro-life. Another friend B, saw that post and became triggered and said that the reason that friend A held such views is because they're less educated or not educated in the subject matter whatsoever. It wasn't because they're differently educated, it's they're not educated or they're less educated. So in response to that, I wanted to bring up the point that it doesn't follow that the more educated you are in a particular subject matter, the more likely you are to have a uniform view of the subject matter. Now, I guess certain things are a little bit more black and white, so if you're educated, you're going to have a uniform view on it. But if you're dealing with a subject matter that is complex and nuanced, then it's probably more likely to be the case that the more educated you are in that subtle, nuanced subject matter, the less likely you are to have a uniform view about the subject. Now, I took my understanding from a sacred literature known as the Mahabharata, a sacred text from India, and there's a line that says, "Nasha vrisha yasha matam nipinnam," that you're not even considered a Muni or a deep thinker unless your opinion differs from other Munis or deep thinkers. And to be real with you, most of us are probably not very deep thinkers. We're creatures of emotion, and we usually allow a lot of our views on subject matters, especially when we're sharing them on social media, to be primarily informed by our emotions. Anyway, you may accept it or not, but that's reality. And it really, at least from my observation, is usually that less educated persons tend to just kind of conform to the presentation of more educated persons in that particular subject. Another short story, I spent 13 years in a monastery, and while in the monastery I was completely blocked off from all sorts of political issues, kind of by personal choice. When I came out of the monastery, I started dabbling more with the social conversation, what was happening in politics and so on. And I started to discover that a lot of my views and a lot of subject matters were more conservative in thinking. Not knowing how sensitive the conversation was, I started posting things, not a lot, but a few things on my social media, primarily my Facebook at the time. Immediately, a lot of my friends who were different in their political leanings, came after me out of kindness, not to put me down, but kind of out of their mercy. And one thing they said to me is that you should just stick to the Hare Krishna thing. If you couldn't tell by the pain on my face, I'm a Hare Krishna devotee. They said you stick to the Hare Krishna thing and let those who are educated in the subject matter talk about these things. So in response to that, I said, that's what I'm doing. Two people who are educated in that particular subject matter think very differently about that particular subject matter, and one of those educated person's presentation has spoke more profoundly to my heart than the other one. And so I'm kind of aligning myself with the more educated person in that subject matter who happens to have a very different view from this other very educated person in the subject matter. So anyway, I guess the message is that how do you expect to have a conversation about any subject matter if you hold this contempt for people that they're not educated or they're less educated unless they conform to the view of Vox Populi. I think I'll close out the video by saying that I saw a meme, this is about a year ago or 2 years ago, maybe I heard it, I don't remember the picture, but the meme posed the question, who is the most oppressed person in the modern times? And the answer was given, the individual. And indeed it can be seen, as soon as you have a view that is very different from Vox Populi, then you can immediately be shut down, at least on social media. In fact, from my observation, a lot of people are being censored, it seems, in the social media universe for not having the right views on things. So I think the video is pretty straightforward.